A werewolf romance story by the Alpha's Claim Collection. Prologue, The Eclipse Child. They tried to kill me the moment I was born. Not because I was sick. Not because I was weak. But because the sun went dark. I don't remember my birth. Not the normal way. But I've been told the story so many times by so many different people that it's carved into my bones like a scar that won't fade. October 14th. The day the moon devoured the sun. My mother went into labor at noon. Luna Isla of the Shadow Pine Pack, powerful and beloved, carrying her first child. The pack had gathered in the ceremonial clearing, celebrating, waiting to welcome the new heir. Then the sky began to change. The midwife said later that my mother's scream started the exact moment the moon's shadow touched the sun. That with every contraction, the darkness grew. That by the time I crowned, the world had gone cold and black and wrong. A solar eclipse. The rarest, most cursed omen in werewolf mythology. I came into the world in total darkness. No sound of birds. No warmth of sunlight. Just eerie twilight and the panicked breathing of wolves who knew what this meant. Eclipse-born children bring destruction. That's what the old laws say. That a wolf born when the moon devours the sun will devour the pack. Will bring death, chaos, the end of everything. The pack elders didn't even wait for the sun to return. They made their decree before I took my third breath. Kill the child. Before moonrise. Before the curse can take root. My father, Alpha Ronin, was given the honor. His own daughter. His firstborn. He took me from my mother's arms while she sobbed. Told the pack he'd do his duty. Told them he'd make it quick and painless. But he didn't. He couldn't. Instead, he drove 3 hours into human territory. Found a small town where wolves never went. And he left me on a doorstep, wrapped in plain cloth, with nothing to identify where I'd come from. No pack markings. No moon-blessed fabric. No name. Just a 6-hour-old baby girl with dark hair and eyes that hadn't yet decided their color. An elderly woman found me in the morning. Her name was Margaret, but I'd grow up calling her Nana. Her own daughter had died years before, and her grief had carved her hollow. They say she looked at me and started crying. Not because she knew what I was, but because she recognized another soul that had been abandoned by the people who should have protected her. She took me inside. Fed me. Kept me. Saved me. My father returned to Shadow Pine Pack and told them the deed was done. That he'd killed the eclipse child as commanded. That the curse had been eliminated. They believed him. My mother never recovered. She had 3 more children over the years, but she never stopped grieving the daughter she'd lost. Never stopped wondering if killing me had been necessary or if they'd murdered something sacred in the name of fear. They thought abandoning me in the human world would be my death sentence. They didn't know it would be my salvation. And they definitely didn't know I'd been born unable to shift. Not because I was weak. Because I was something else entirely. My name is Kiera, though Nana gave me that name, not my birth parents. And this is the story of how I went from a cursed, broken wolf to the thing that would save and shatter everything my kind believed about power, darkness, and light. This is the story of what happens when you try to kill the sun. Spoiler alert, she always rises again. Before we dive into today's story, I'm curious, where are you tuning in from right now? Drop your location and the time in the comments below. Are you watching from sunrise in Tokyo? Midday in London? Golden hour in Los Angeles? Late night in Sydney? I absolutely love seeing how our werewolf romance family stretches around the entire world. This is the incredible journey of Kiera, a baby abandoned during a solar eclipse, labeled cursed and left to die in the human world, who spent 17 years believing she was broken, until she discovered she wasn't a moon wolf at all. She was a Daywalker, a legendary sun wolf with the power to unite both light and darkness. If you're here for a story about rising from rejection, discovering impossible power, and a slow-burn romance with the rogue who protected her in secret for 17 years, smash that like button and subscribe for more captivating audiobooks just like this. Join our community. Let me know in the comments where you're listening from right now. Together, we're building the ultimate paranormal romance family across continents. Alright, let's get started. Chapter 1. Broken wolf. Age 16. The wolf hit me so hard I tasted blood before I hit the ground. Which was impressive, considering I'd never actually met another werewolf before. At least not that I knew of. I rolled, instinct taking over, and came up in a crouch. My attacker circled me, a massive gray wolf with foam at its mouth and eyes that had gone completely wild. Rogue, I thought. Had to be. Pack wolves didn't attack in broad daylight. Pack wolves couldn't shift when the sun was high. But here we were. 2 o'clock on a Tuesday afternoon, and I was fighting for my life in the woods behind Nana's house. The wolf lunged again. I dodged, my body moving faster than any human could, and grabbed a fallen branch. It was thick as my arm and heavy enough to do damage. When the wolf came at me a third time, I swung. The crack of wood against skull echoed through the trees. The wolf yelped, stumbled, then turned and ran, limping badly. I stood there, shaking, branch still raised, waiting to see if it would come back. It didn't. I dropped the branch and sank to my knees, adrenaline crashing through me like a fever. My hands were trembling. My heart was trying to break through my ribs. And I was still human. Still trapped in this weak, vulnerable, pathetic human body. I'd tried to shift. In the heat of the fight, when death was seconds away, every instinct in my body had screamed change. My bones had ached with the need to transform, to become the wolf I knew lived somewhere inside me. Nothing happened. Nothing ever happened. 16 years of trying, and I'd never shifted once. I was a werewolf who couldn't become a wolf. A broken thing that didn't fit anywhere. Not human enough for the human world. Not wolf enough for the world I could sense, but never touch. Kiera. Nana's voice cut through my spiral. I looked up to see her hurrying down the path from the house, her white hair escaping its bun, her face creased with worry. I heard fighting, she said breathlessly. Are you hurt? I shook my head, standing on legs that felt like water. I'm okay. It was just a wild dog. It's gone now. She knew I was lying. She always knew. But Nana had learned over the years not to push. Not to ask questions about why I healed from injuries overnight, or why I could hear conversations from 3 houses away, or why I stared at the moon like it was calling me home. She just pulled me into her arms and held me until I stopped shaking. Come inside, she murmured. I'll make tea. I let her lead me back to the house, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. That attack wasn't random. That wolf had been looking for me specifically. But why? I was nobody. Nothing. A defective werewolf living among humans, pretending I belonged. That night, I stood at my bedroom window and stared at the forest. The full moon was rising, huge and silver, and so beautiful it hurt. I could feel it pulling at something deep inside me, trying to drag my wolf to the surface. My bones began to ache. Then burn. Then scream. I gripped the windowsill hard enough to crack the wood, biting down on the inside of my cheek to keep from crying out. This happened every full moon. The agony of a shift that never completed. Like my body was trying to break itself apart and couldn't figure out how. An hour later, it faded. Left me sweating and sick and still stubbornly human. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass and whispered to the moon, "What's wrong with me?" For the first time in 16 years, someone answered. Not the moon. A voice from the darkness below my window. Nothing's wrong with you. You're just trying to shift the wrong way. I spun around, my heart in my throat. A man stood in the shadows at the edge of the tree line. Young, maybe mid-20s, with dark hair and eyes that caught the moonlight like an animal's. Wolf eyes. Who are you? I demanded, my voice steadier than I felt. He stepped into the moonlight, and I saw him clearly for the first time. Tall, lean, with a scar cutting through his left eyebrow and an expression that was equal parts protective and pained. My name is Dax, he said quietly. And I've been watching over you since the night your father left you on that doorstep. The world tilted. You've been watching me? Protecting you, he corrected. That rogue that attacked you today? I drove it off after you wounded it. There have been others over the years. You just never saw them because I made sure they never got close enough. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Why? I whispered. Because 16 years ago, I was there. I was 14 years old, a young member of Shadow Pine Pack, and I watched your father drive away with you. Something told me to follow him. So I did. His voice roughened. I saw him leave you on that doorstep. Saw him walk away from his own daughter. And I couldn't. I couldn't just let you die. So you've been stalking me for 16 years? Protecting you, he repeated firmly. There's a difference. I should have been terrified. Should have run inside and locked the doors. But all I felt was a strange, desperate hope. You said I'm shifting wrong, I said. What does that mean? Dax looked up at the moon, then back at me. You can't shift because you're trying to shift like a moon wolf. But you're not moon-blessed, Kiera. You're sun-blessed. That's not a real thing. It is. They're called Daywalkers. Ancient wolves who could shift in sunlight, who drew power from the sun instead of the moon. They've been extinct for centuries. He paused. Or they were. Until you. I laughed. It came out harsh and broken. I've tried to shift during the day too. Hundreds of times. It doesn't work. Because you've been trying to shift like a moon wolf, he said patiently. You need to shift like a sun wolf. And I can teach you. Why would you do that? The question hung between us, heavy with 16 years of questions I'd never gotten to ask. Because I've spent half my life watching you from the shadows, Dax said quietly. Because you deserve to know what you are. Because that rogue today won't be the last. Your kind is waking up, Kiera. Other Daywalkers are emerging. And the packs are terrified. Of what? Of change. Of the prophecy. Of you. I stared at this stranger who'd apparently been guarding me since I was a baby. Who'd watched me grow up. Who knew what I was when I didn't even know myself. What prophecy? I asked. Dax's expression darkened. Eclipse-born wolves will either unite the sun and moon or destroy all wolves. Your birth pack tried to kill you to prevent the prophecy. But here you are. Alive. And starting to come into your power. I don't have any power. I can't even shift. Yet, he said. But you will. And when you do, Kiera, you're going to change everything. He turned to leave, melting back into the shadows. Wait, I called out. How do I find you? If I want to learn. He looked back, and for the first time, he smiled. It transformed his whole face, made him look younger, almost boyish. I'll find you. Same as I always have. Then he was gone, leaving me alone with the moon and 1,000 questions and one undeniable truth. I'd spent 16 years thinking I was broken. What if I'd just been trying to be the wrong thing? Chapter 2, The Watcher. Age 16. Dax found me 3 days later. I was in the forest behind the house, supposedly gathering firewood. Actually, I was trying something insane. I stood in a shaft of afternoon sunlight and closed my eyes. Sun wolf, I thought. If I'm really a sun wolf, then maybe. I reached for the warmth on my skin. Tried to pull it inward, the way I'd always tried to pull the moon's light. Tried to imagine my bones breaking and reforming, my body reshaping itself into something powerful and free. Nothing. You're forcing it. I spun around. Dax stood about 10 feet away, leaning against a tree like he'd been there for hours. Maybe he had been. Stalker. I'm not forcing anything, I snapped. I'm trying. Same thing. He pushed off the tree and walked toward me. In daylight, I could see him more clearly. He was handsome in a rough, lived-in way. The scar through his eyebrow. Another on his jaw. Scars that came from fighting, from surviving. His eyes were amber. Wolf eyes, even in human form. You can't force a shift, he said. Especially not your first one. You have to surrender to it. I don't know how to surrender. I've spent 16 years fighting to be something I'm not. I know. Something in his voice made me look at him more carefully. There was pain there. Old and deep. I've watched you fight for 16 years. The weight of that statement hit me. He'd been watching. All this time. That's creepy, you know, I said. I know. But the alternative was letting you die. He gestured to a fallen log. Sit. I'll tell you what I know, and then you can decide if you trust me enough to let me teach you. I sat. He settled on the ground across from me, close enough to talk, far enough to give me space. Eclipse-born wolves, he began, are supposed to be impossible. The sun and moon in opposition shouldn't produce life. It should produce death. That's what the old texts say. Texts. There are records. Hidden in pack archives, preserved by scholars who remember the old ways. I've spent years reading them, trying to understand what you are. Why do you care so much? He was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was rough. Because I was there when your father abandoned you. I was 14. Old enough to understand what he was doing, but too young to stop it. I followed him. Watched him leave you. And something inside me broke. He looked at me, and the pain in his eyes was real and raw. I couldn't save you then. Couldn't take you myself. I was just a kid with no resources. But I could watch. Make sure whoever found you didn't hurt you. Make sure the pack didn't send hunters to finish what your father couldn't do. Did they? Send hunters. 3 times. Once when you were 2. Once when you were 7. Once when you were 12. His jaw tightened. They never got close enough to confirm you were alive. I made sure of it. I processed that. 3 times. 3 times someone had come to kill me, and this stranger had stopped them. You've killed for me, I said slowly. I've protected you. Sometimes that required killing. He said it without apology, without guilt. Just fact. I should have been horrified. Instead, I felt something else. Safe. For the first time in my life, I felt like someone had my back. Tell me about Daywalkers, I said. Relief flickered across his face. He'd been worried I'd run. Daywalkers were the first wolves, he said. Before the moon goddess blessed our kind, before we became creatures of the night, we were creatures of the sun. We shifted in daylight, drew our power from heat and light instead of lunar cycles. What happened to them? The moon goddess happened. She fell in love with the wolf kind and wanted to claim us as hers. She offered power, longer lives, stronger bonds. But there was a price. We had to give up the sun. Become creatures of the night. Most wolves accepted. The ones who didn't became daywalkers. Became extinct. Or so everyone thought. The moon goddess cursed them, made them weaker during full moons, made pack wolves hunt them. Within 2 generations, they were gone. But I'm here. You're here, he agreed. Born during an eclipse. The one moment when sun and moon exist in the same space. You're not just a daywalker, Kiera. You're a bridge. You carry both sun and moon. If that's true, why can't I shift at all? Shouldn't I be able to shift anytime? You should. But you've been raised human. Never taught how to access your wolf. Never had a pack to show you the way. You're trying to shift by instinct, but your instincts are all mixed up. Moon wolves shift when their emotions peak, usually during the full moon. Daywalkers shift when they're calm, centered, connected to the sun's warmth. He stood and offered me his hand. Let me show you. I stared at his hand. Taking it meant trusting him. Meant believing everything he'd said. Meant accepting that I was something strange and rare instead of just broken. I took his hand. He pulled me to my feet and led me to the center of the clearing where the afternoon sun pooled like honey. Close your eyes, he said softly. Feel the sun on your skin. I did. The warmth soaked into me, chasing away the chill that always seemed to live in my bones. Now stop trying to force anything. Stop trying to break. Just expand. Let the warmth fill you. Let it crack you open gently, like a seed sprouting. I tried. I really did. I focused on the sun, on the warmth, on the idea of expanding instead of breaking. For a moment, just a heartbeat, I felt something shift inside me. Something old and powerful and mine. Then it slipped away. I opened my eyes, frustrated. I almost had it. You did. Dax was smiling. Actually smiling. That's more progress than most wolves make in months. You felt your wolf, didn't you? For a second. Then she was gone. She's not gone. She's just buried deep. We'll dig her out. He glanced at the sky. But not today. Your grandmother will worry if you're gone too long. How do you know about Nana? I told you. I've been watching. He caught my expression and laughed. I'm not watching you shower or anything creepy. I just keep tabs. Make sure you're safe. You're still a stalker. A stalker who's saved your life 3 times and is teaching you to shift. I think that earns me a better title. Like what? I don't know. Guardian? Protector? He paused, something shifting in his expression. Friend. I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who'd spent half his life protecting a girl he didn't know. Who'd killed for me. Who was risking everything to teach me. Yeah, I said softly. Friend works. Something warm bloomed in his amber eyes. Good. Then as your friend, I'm telling you to go home. Eat dinner with your grandmother. Rest. We'll try again tomorrow. Tomorrow, I agreed. I turned to leave, then stopped. Dax? Thank you. For watching over me. For not giving up on me. I could never give up on you, Kiera, he said quietly. Even if I wanted to. I walked home with the sun on my back and, for the first time in 16 years, hope in my chest. Maybe I wasn't broken after all. Maybe I was just sleeping. And maybe, just maybe, I was finally ready to wake up. Chapter 3. The First Shift. Age 16 to 17. 3 months. It took 3 months of daily training before I felt ready to actually try again. Dax was patient. More patient than I deserved. Every afternoon, he met me in the clearing. Taught me to meditate. To find the stillness inside me. To reach for warmth instead of forcing change. You're fighting yourself, he'd say when I'd tense up. Your human side is terrified of losing control. Your wolf side is tired of being caged. You have to make peace between them. How? Stop seeing them as separate things. You're not a human with a wolf inside. You're both. Equally. At the same time. It should have been simple. It wasn't. But slowly over weeks and then months, something began to shift. Not my body. My mind. I stopped being afraid of my wolf. Stopped seeing her as a monster waiting to break free and started seeing her as a part of me that had been sleeping. And in those 3 months, something else shifted too. Dax and I became friends. Real friends. He told me about growing up in Shadow Pine Pack. About being a low-ranking wolf from a family of hunters. About watching the pack politics and cruelty and deciding he'd rather be a rogue than participate. I left when I was 18, he said. After your father ordered the execution of a pup born with a twisted leg. Said defective wolves weakened the pack. I watched that baby die and I knew I couldn't stay. You've been alone for 6 years? I've had you, he said simply. Even if you didn't know I existed. I told him about Nana. About growing up human but not. About the loneliness of being different. About the kids at school who sensed something off about me and stayed away. I've never had friends, I admitted one day. Not real ones. You're the first person besides Nana who's ever looked at me and not seen something wrong. That's because there's nothing wrong with you, Dax said fiercely. You're extraordinary. You just needed someone to show you how to see it. We were careful. Kept our distance. Stayed in the zone of teacher and student, protector and protected. But I'd catch him watching me sometimes with an expression I couldn't quite read. And I'd catch myself watching him back. Then Nana got sick. It started with a cough. Within 2 weeks, she could barely get out of bed. The doctors ran tests, gave her antibiotics, looked worried and sympathetic and useless. I sat by her bedside every night, holding her hand, feeling utterly helpless. Don't cry, little light, she whispered one night. Her voice was so thin. I've had a good life. And I got to raise you. That's enough. It's not enough, I choked out. I can't lose you. You're all I have. You have more than you think. She touched my face with trembling fingers. I've always known you were different. Special. Whatever you are, wherever you came from, you were meant for extraordinary things. Don't let my death stop you from becoming them. You're not dying. But her eyes said otherwise. I stumbled out of the house at midnight, tears streaming down my face. Ran into the forest. Ran until my lungs burned and my legs gave out. Dax found me collapsed in the clearing where we trained. She's dying, I sobbed. The doctors can't help her. I can't help her. I can't do anything except watch her fade. He pulled me into his arms, let me break against his chest. There might be a way, he said quietly. I pulled back. What? Daywalkers had abilities moon wolves don't. One of them was healing. If you could shift, if you could access your wolf's power, you might be able to save her. Hope flared, desperate, and painful. But I can't shift. You haven't shifted yet. That doesn't mean you can't. He gripped my shoulders. Kiera, you've been trying when you're calm and centered. But sometimes the first shift comes from desperation. From needing it so badly that your body has no choice but to answer. You want me to force it? I want you to stop holding back. His eyes blazed amber. You're terrified of losing control, of what you might become. But your grandmother is dying. So I'm asking you to get angry, to get desperate, to want it badly enough that fear doesn't matter anymore. It was the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. I walked into the center of the clearing, tilted my face to the noon sun, and I let myself feel everything I'd been holding back. The rage at my parents for abandoning me, the grief of 16 years alone, the terror of losing the only person who'd ever loved me unconditionally, the desperate, aching need to save her. Heat built in my chest. Not the gentle warmth Dax had taught me to cultivate. Fire. Burning and wild and refusing to be contained. I opened my mouth and screamed at the sun. Everything broke. My bones shattered and reformed in seconds instead of hours. My skin rippled and sprouted fur. My hands became paws. My scream became a howl. Golden light exploded from my body, so bright Dax had to shield his eyes. When it faded, I was wolf. Not the gray or brown of moon wolves. Gold. Pure, shimmering gold with fur that caught the sunlight and glowed. My eyes were amber like the sun. My paws left faint prints of light on the ground. I was beautiful. I was powerful. I was everything I'd thought I could never be. And I didn't have time to marvel at it because Nana was dying. I ran. Through the forest, across the road, straight through the front door that I broke off its hinges. Up the stairs to Nana's room. She was sleeping, barely breathing, fading. I shifted back to human without thinking about it, my body obeying instinct. Fell to my knees beside her bed and placed my hands on her chest. Please, I thought. Please let this work. Golden light poured from my palms into her body. I could feel the sickness, a black rot in her lungs, and I burned it away. Fed her body warmth and strength and life. Nana gasped. Her eyes flew open. They widened when she saw me kneeling beside her, still glowing faintly with sun magic. Kiera, she whispered. What are you? Something different, I said, tears streaming down my face. Something rare. But still me. Always me. She reached up with a hand that was already steadier, already stronger, and touched my face. I always knew you were special, little light, she breathed. I just never knew how special. The sickness was gone. Just gone. When the doctors came the next day, they were baffled. Declared it a miracle. Couldn't explain how she'd recovered overnight from what should have been terminal. Nana just smiled and said sometimes miracles happen. Dax found me in the clearing that evening. I was in wolf form, getting used to the feel of 4 legs instead of 2. The strangeness of enhanced senses. The way the world looked different through wolf eyes. I shifted back when I saw him. Still naked, still learning to control it, but too emotionally exhausted to care. He looked away, giving me privacy, and tossed me a blanket he'd brought. You did it, he said, voice rough with pride. You saved her. I did. I wrapped the blanket around myself. Thank you. For pushing me. For believing I could. I never doubted. He turned back, and his eyes were warm. How do you feel? Powerful. Terrified. Free. I laughed shakily. Like I've been living in black and white my whole life and just discovered color. It gets easier. The shifting, I mean. With practice, you'll be able to do it in seconds. Dax. I walked closer to him. What happens now? I've found my wolf. I can shift. I healed Nana. What do I do with this? His expression shuddered. That's up to you. But you need to know other wolves will sense what happened. Will sense that a Daywalker has awakened. Word will spread. To my birth pack? Eventually. Yes. I thought about that. About the pack that had tried to kill me. About parents I'd never met. About the prophecy Dax had mentioned. Will they come for me? Probably. Good, I said, surprising myself with the venom in my voice. Let them come. Let them see what they tried to destroy. Let them see what I've become. Dax studied me carefully. You're angry. I'm furious. They threw me away like garbage. Tried to kill me before I even had a chance to live. And now I'm supposed to hide? To be afraid of them finding me? I shook my head. No. If they want me, they can come get me. And they can deal with the consequences. Something that looked like worry crossed his face. Kiera, your pack is powerful. Your father is a strong alpha. If they decide you're a threat, then I'll show them exactly how much of a threat I can be. He looked at me for a long moment. Then, quietly, you've changed. In more than just the shift. I'm tired of being afraid, I said. I'm tired of hiding. I'm tired of feeling broken. I found my wolf, Dax. And she's not interested in cowering. A slow smile spread across his face. Good. Because the world needs more wolves who refuse to bow. I smiled back. Then I guess I'm exactly what the world needs. But neither of us knew yet how much truth was in those words. Or how much blood it would cost to prove them. Chapter 4. The Discovery. Age 17. The hunters came 6 months later. I was 17. I'd spent 6 months learning to control my shift, mastering my abilities, growing into my power. 6 months of training with Dax. 6 months of my wolf growing stronger. 6 months of trying to ignore the way my heart beat faster whenever he was near. We were in the clearing. I was in wolf form, practicing maintaining the shift for extended periods. Dax was in human form, watching, occasionally calling out instructions. Your back left paw is compensating for your front right, he said. Even out your weight distribution. I adjusted, felt the difference immediately. Better balance. Smoother movement. Good. Now try. He stopped mid-sentence. His whole body went rigid, head tilting like he was listening to something I couldn't hear. Then I heard it too. Paws on earth. Multiple sets. Moving fast. Shift back, Dax said quietly. Now. I obeyed, my body flowing from wolf to human in seconds. I grabbed the clothes I'd left folded nearby, dressing quickly. What is it? Hunters. 3, maybe 4. Moon wolves. His jaw tightened. They're from Shadowpine. My birth pack. They'd finally come. Fear tried to claw its way up my throat. I shoved it down. What do we do? We don't run, Dax said firmly. Running makes you look guilty. We face them. Let me do the talking. They're here for me. I should. You should let me protect you. That's what I've been doing for 17 years. I'm not stopping now. The first hunter stepped into the clearing. Male, maybe 30, with the build of a fighter and scars that said he'd won more fights than he'd lost. His eyes locked on me immediately. Well, he said slowly. The rumors were true. The eclipse child survived. 2 more hunters emerged from the trees. Female and male, both dangerous, both assessing me like I was prey. She's under my protection, Dax said, positioning himself between me and them. You don't touch her. The lead hunter's eyes narrowed. Dax, I wondered if you were involved. Beta Marcus has been looking for you since you went rogue 6 years ago. Tell Beta Marcus I'm fine where I am. He wants you home. And he wants the girl brought in for questioning. She's not going anywhere. The female hunter tilted her head. We felt her shift 6 months ago. Felt the sun magic. Every pack within 100 miles felt it. Her eyes fixed on me. You're a Daywalker. Do you know what that means? It means I'm rare, I said, stepping around Dax despite his warning growl. It means I'm powerful. And it means your pack tried to kill me for being different. For being dangerous, the lead hunter corrected. The eclipse prophecy is just words, I interrupted. I'm not here to destroy anyone. I just want to be left alone. That's not your choice anymore. You revealed yourself. The packs have a right to know what you are, what you can do. The packs tried to murder me before I could take my first breath, I snapped. They don't get rights where I'm concerned. The tension in the clearing ratcheted up. The hunter's hands moved toward weapons. Dax's body coiled, ready to attack. Kiera, he said quietly. Step back. No. Please. The third hunter, who'd been silent until now, spoke up. We don't want to fight. We're just here to deliver a message from Alpha Ronin. He wants to meet you. Wants to talk. My father, I said bitterly, had 17 years to talk to me. He chose not to. I don't owe him an audience now. He knows what he did was wrong. The whole pack knows. Luna Isla has been in mourning for 17 years. They want a chance to explain. To make amends. Too bad. The lead hunter's expression hardened. You can come willingly, or we can make you come. Either way, Alpha Ronin will see his daughter. Dax snarled. Actual snarled, his teeth sharpening, his eyes going full wolf even in human form. You'll have to go through me first. We can do that. The fight happened fast. Dax shifted mid-leap, becoming a massive dark wolf that crashed into the lead hunter. They went down in a tangle of fur and claws and blood. The other two hunters shifted and came for me. I didn't think. Just reacted. Golden light exploded from my body as I shifted, the sun magic that came naturally now after months of practice. I met the female hunter midair, my teeth finding her shoulder, my momentum carrying us both to the ground. She was experienced. Brutal. She twisted beneath me, claws raking my side. Pain lanced through me, sharp and real. I yelped, lost my grip. She rolled, pinning me, her jaws going for my throat. Then Dax was there, ripping her off me, throwing her 20 feet into a tree. The male hunter tackled him from behind. They rolled, a blur of violence. I struggled to my feet, blood matting my golden fur. The wound in my side was already healing, sun magic knitting flesh back together. The female hunter shook herself and charged again. This time I was ready. I met her head-on, but instead of fighting, I did something I'd been practicing in secret. Something Dax didn't know I could do. I let my sun magic flare outward in a blinding pulse of light. Everyone stopped. Frozen. Not by force, by shock. When the light faded, I stood in the center of the clearing in human form, naked and glowing and absolutely done with this. Enough, I commanded, and power rolled through my voice. Sun magic. Authority that demanded obedience. Every wolf in the clearing, including Dax, stopped fighting. I will not be dragged anywhere against my will, I said, my voice carrying the weight of something ancient and powerful. I will not bow to a pack that tried to murder me. And I will not pretend to be less than I am to make anyone comfortable. I looked at each hunter in turn. Go back to Shadowpine. Tell my father that if he wants to meet me, he can come here. Alone. Unarmed. And he can beg for the privilege of my time. Tell him his daughter isn't the weak thing he discarded. Tell him I'm something he should fear. Is that a threat? The lead hunter asked. It's a promise. Now leave. Before I forget that I'm trying to be merciful. They left. Limping, bleeding, but alive. Dax shifted back to human, his eyes wide with shock. Kiera, what was that? That power. I don't know, I admitted, the adrenaline fading, leaving me shaking. It just came out. I was angry and scared and I just commanded them. Daywalkers could compel obedience, he said slowly. It's in the old texts. But it's supposed to take years of training. You just did it instinctively. I looked down at my hands. They were still faintly glowing. I'm scared, Dax. What if they come back with more hunters? What if they tell the pack I'm dangerous and they send an army? Then we'll face it together. This isn't your fight. It became my fight the moment I decided to protect you 17 years ago. He stepped closer, his eyes intense. I'm not leaving you. Not now. Not ever. Do you understand? I stared at him. At this man who'd given up his pack, his safety, his whole life to watch over a girl he didn't even know. Why? I whispered. Why have you stayed all these years? He was quiet for a long moment. Then, softly, because from the moment I saw your father abandon you, you've been mine to protect. Mine to watch over. Mine too. He stopped himself. Looked away. Yours to what? I pressed. Nothing. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. He met my eyes again, and the emotion there made my breath catch. I've been in love with you for years, Kiera. Since you were 15 and I realized you weren't a child anymore. Since I started seeing you as a woman instead of just someone I protected. I know it's wrong. The age gap. The situation. Everything. But I can't help it. You're brave and strong and beautiful and I kissed him. Cut off his words with my mouth on his, my hands in his hair, my whole body pressing against him. He froze for half a second. Then he kissed me back like he'd been dying to do it for years. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, I said, I love you too. I've loved you since I understood what love was. You're not just my protector, Dax. You're my home. Kiera, I'm 8 years older than you. People will. I don't care what people think. I care about you. About us. I held his face in my hands. We'll figure out the rest. Together. Like we always have. He pulled me close, buried his face in my hair. Together, he agreed. Neither of us knew that in 3 days, my father would arrive. That everything we thought we knew about my past, my pack, and my purpose would shatter. That the real test wasn't surviving hunters. It was surviving the truth. Chapter 5. Facing the Pack. Age 17. My father arrived 3 days later. Not alone, despite my demand. He brought my mother. He brought 3 teenagers who could only be my siblings. And he brought half a dozen pack warriors as protection. Coward. Dax and I were waiting in the clearing. I'd told Nana to stay inside, to stay safe. She'd argued, but eventually agreed when I promised I'd come home in one piece. I wasn't sure I could keep that promise. Alpha Ronin looked older than I'd imagined. Gray threaded through his dark hair. Lines carved deep around his eyes and mouth. He carried himself with authority, but there was something broken in his posture. Something that looked like guilt. My mother was beautiful. Even I could see that. Dark hair like mine, but her eyes were blue where mine were amber gold. She looked fragile. Like she might shatter if touched. The 3 teenagers hung back. 2 boys, 1 girl. My brothers and sister. They watched me with open curiosity and something that might have been awe. Kiera, my father said. His voice was rough. You look like your mother. I wouldn't know, I said coldly. I've never met her. He flinched. Good. My mother stepped forward, tears already streaming down her face. My baby, my daughter, you're alive. You're here. You're 17 years too late for tears, I interrupted. Why are you here? To see you, my father said. To explain. To apologize. Explain what? That you tried to have me killed? That you abandoned me on a stranger's doorstep? That you chose your pack's fear over your own daughter? My voice was getting louder, anger bleeding through. What exactly needs explaining? The prophecy, he said quietly. The eclipse prophecy. Do you know it? Dax told me. Eclipse-born wolves will either unite sun and moon or destroy all wolves. You tried to kill me to prevent it. We were terrified, my mother sobbed. The elders said you'd bring the end of everything. That keeping you alive would doom the entire pack. We were young and scared, and we listened to them instead of our hearts. You listened to fear instead of love, I corrected. There's a difference. My father's jaw tightened. We know what we did was unforgivable. We've known it every day for 17 years. Your mother has mourned you like you died. I've carried the weight of abandoning my own child like a stone around my neck. Good. You should. Kiera, please, my mother started. No. I cut her off. You don't get to call me that like you know me. You don't know anything about me. You don't know that Nana found me and loved me when you couldn't. You don't know that I grew up thinking I was broken because I couldn't shift. You don't know that Dax protected me from your hunters 3 times. 3 times you sent wolves to kill me, and you didn't even have the courage to do it yourselves. Shocked silence. We didn't, my father started. Don't lie to me, I snapped. I can feel lies now. It's one of my gifts. So don't you dare stand there and pretend you didn't know about the hunters. He closed his eyes. I knew. The pack elders sent them. I didn't stop them. Of course you didn't. Because you're weak. You let fear control you then, and you're still letting it control you now. One of the pack warriors stepped forward, growling. You will not speak to your alpha that way. I turned my gaze on him, let my eyes flare golden, let just a hint of my sun magic leak out. He's not my alpha. I have no pack. I owe him nothing. The warrior backed down, visibly shaken by the power radiating off me. My father looked at me with something that might have been pride mixed with fear. You've grown strong. No thanks to you. We want to make amends, he said. We want you to come home. Take your rightful place as heir to Shadow Pine Pack. You're our eldest daughter. The position should be yours. I laughed. It came out bitter and sharp. You think I want your pack? The pack that tried to murder me? The pack that values fear over family? It's changed, my mother said desperately. We've changed. We learned from our mistake. We have laws now protecting different wolves. We don't kill pups for being born under bad omens. We don't. Congratulations, I said dryly. You learned basic decency. Want a medal? My sister, she looked about 14, spoke up for the first time. We didn't know about you. Not until a week ago. They told us our older sister died at birth. Then those hunters came back and said they'd found you and you were amazing. We wanted to meet you. I looked at her. At all three of them. They weren't part of what happened to me. They were just kids caught in the aftermath. What are your names? I asked, gentling my tone slightly. I'm Laura, my sister said. That's Finn and Connor. She pointed to the two boys. Nice to meet you, I said. Meant it, even. But meeting you doesn't change what your parents did. We know, Finn said quietly. He looked about 16. We're not asking you to forgive them. We wanted to know our sister. Something in my chest cracked slightly. But before I could respond, a new voice cut through the clearing. How touching. The rejected pup meeting her replacement family. A man stepped out from the tree line. Tall, muscular, with the kind of arrogance that came from never being challenged. He wore the marks of a beta, second in command. Beta Marcus, my father said sharply. You weren't invited. No, but I came anyway. Because someone needs to say what everyone's thinking. Marcus's eyes fixed on me with open hostility. This girl is a threat. Eclipse-born. Daywalker. Able to compel obedience. She's everything the prophecy warned about. She's my daughter, my father said. She's a weapon waiting to go off. And you're too blinded by guilt to see it. Marcus turned to the gathered warriors. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me you don't feel the wrongness coming off her. The power that shouldn't exist. Some of the warriors shifted uncomfortably. They didn't disagree. I challenge her, Marcus said suddenly. Pack law. Any wolf can challenge another to prove their worth. I challenge Kiera to combat. If she wins, I'll acknowledge her right to exist. If I win. He smiled coldly. The prophecy ends here. You can't, my father started. I can and I am. Unless she's too weak to accept. Every eye turned to me. I should have said no. Should have walked away. Let Dax handle it, or my father, or anyone else. But I was 17 and angry and tired of being treated like I was dangerous when all I'd done was survive. I accept, I said. Kiera, no, Dax said urgently, grabbing my arm. He's a trained warrior. You've only been shifting for 6 months. This is suicide. I have to do this. You know I do. I don't know that. I know that you're brave and strong and capable of amazing things. But this is what he wants. He wants an excuse to kill you legally. Then I'll make sure he doesn't get it. I pulled away from Dax and walked to the center of the clearing. Marcus grinned. Brave little pup. Stupid, but brave. When? I asked. Tonight. Full moon. When you're at your weakest and I'm at my strongest. His grin widened. Unless you'd prefer daylight when you have the advantage? I'll even give you that. No, I said. I wanted to prove I could fight on their terms. In their world. Tonight is fine. To the death or to submission? I thought about that. Thought about what I'd become. What I stood for. To submission, I said. I'm not a killer. Your mistake. The pack withdrew to prepare. Dax pulled me aside, his face tight with fear. Please don't do this, he said. Let me fight him. Let me. This is my fight. Mine to prove. If I'm ever going to be respected, if I'm ever going to be safe, I have to show them I'm not afraid. You should be afraid. He's going to try to kill you whether you said to the death or not. I know. I touched his face. But I'm not the helpless baby they threw away anymore. I'm strong. I have power they don't understand. I can do this. And if you can't, then you make sure Nana knows I love her. And you live the life we planned. The one where we're together and happy and free. I don't want that life without you in it. I kissed him. soft and sweet and full of all the things I didn't have time to say. Then I guess I'd better win. Chapter 6. The Choice. Age 17. The fight began at midnight. The full moon hung overhead, huge and bright and pulling at every wolf in the clearing. I could feel it trying to force my shift, trying to drag my wolf to the surface. I resisted. I'd learned that much at least. Control. Marcus shifted first. A massive gray wolf, easily twice my size, with scars that told the story of dozens of victories. I shifted second. My golden wolf emerged, glowing softly in the moonlight. Smaller. Younger. But burning with sun magic that didn't belong in the moon's domain. We circled each other. The pack gathered around us in a ring. My parents watching with barely concealed terror. My siblings holding each other. Dax looking like he might shift and intervene at any second. Marcus attacked first. He was fast. Brutal. Experienced. His teeth found my shoulder before I could dodge, and pain exploded through me. I yelped, twisted, broke free. Blood matted my golden fur, but it was already healing. Slower than usual, the moon weakened my healing, but still faster than a normal wolf. He came at me again. I dodged this time, using my smaller size to slip under his attack. Snapped at his legs. Missed. We clashed again and again. Each time he drew blood. Each time I barely escaped. I was losing. The moon was sapping my strength. My magic felt muted, distant. And Marcus knew exactly how to fight. How to use his weight and experience to overwhelm me. A particularly vicious attack sent me sprawling. I rolled, scrambled to my feet, but he was already there. His jaws closed around my throat. Not quite crushing, but the threat was clear. Submit or die. The pack held its breath. I could feel Dax's anguish like a physical thing. I should have submitted. Should have ended it. Lived to fight another day. But submission meant proving Marcus right. Meant showing weakness. Meant validating every wolf who'd ever said I was too dangerous to exist. So instead, I did something insane. I stopped fighting the moon. I'd been taught to resist the lunar pull. To stay strong against it. To not let it control me. But what if I didn't resist? What if I accepted it? I was born during an eclipse. Sun and moon in the same space. Maybe I wasn't supposed to fight one or the other. Maybe I was supposed to embrace both. I let the moon in. Let her cold silver magic flood through me alongside the sun's golden warmth. And something inside me ignited. Marcus jerked back as I began to glow. Not just golden sunlight. Silver moonlight too. Both powers swirling together in impossible harmony. I shifted. But not back to human. Into something else. Something in between. My wolf form grew larger. My golden fur gained silver highlights. My amber eyes swirled with lunar silver. And power, raw, ancient, impossible power, exploded through me. I was sun and moon. Day and night. The bridge between two worlds. I was the prophecy made flesh. Marcus tried to attack again. I caught him mid-leap with one massive paw and slammed him to the ground. Pinned him. Could have crushed his throat. Instead, I let both powers flow into him. Sun magic to heal his wounds. Moon magic to soothe his rage. He went limp beneath me. Not from pain. From shock. From feeling what I felt. Understanding what I was. I stepped back, releasing him. Shifted down to my normal wolf form, both powers still swirling inside me but contained now. Controlled. Marcus shifted to human, staring at me with something like awe. You're not just a daywalker, he breathed. You're both. You can channel sun and moon. The prophecy said eclipse-born wolves would unite or destroy, I said, my voice carrying both human and wolf tones. I choose to unite. I choose balance. The pack elder who'd been silent until now stepped forward. She was ancient, her hair white, her eyes clouded, but somehow still seeing everything. She fulfills the prophecy, the elder said. Not through destruction. Through unity. She is the bridge. The balance we lost when we chose moon over sun. Wolves began to kneel. Not submission. Recognition. My father knelt. Then my mother. Then my siblings. Even Marcus, slowly and painfully, lowered himself to one knee. "Forgive me," he said hoarsely. "I was wrong. You're not a threat. You're salvation." I shifted back to human. Stood naked and glowing and exhausted in the center of the clearing. "I'm not your salvation," I said quietly. "I'm just a girl who learned to stop fighting herself. Who learned that being different isn't weakness. That combining opposites creates strength." My father approached slowly. "Will you come home? Take your place with us." I looked at him. At my mother standing beside him. At the pack that had tried to kill me. "No," I said. Pain crossed his face. "Kiera." "I forgive you," I interrupted. "Both of you. For being afraid. For making a terrible choice. For living with that guilt all these years. I forgive you." My mother broke down sobbing. "But forgiveness doesn't mean I forget," I continued. "It doesn't mean I pretend it didn't happen. You threw me away when I needed you most. And I survived. I thrived. I found a family that chose me when you couldn't." I looked at Dax, who was watching with tears streaming down his face. "I won't join your pack," I said. "But I won't be your enemy either. I'll forge my own path. Create my own family. And when other eclipse-born pups are discovered, when other Daywalkers emerge, I'll protect them the way you should have protected me." "What will you do?" my sister Laura asked. "Create a sanctuary. A place for wolves who don't fit. Who are too different for regular packs. Who need someone to tell them that different isn't broken." I smiled slightly. "I'll be what I needed when I was born. Can we visit?" Finn asked. "Get to know you." I looked at my siblings. They hadn't hurt me, hadn't been part of the decision. They just wanted a sister. "Yes," I said softly. "You can visit. We can build something new. Something better than what our parents had." Dax stepped forward, wrapped me in his shirt to cover my nakedness. Pulled me close. "You were magnificent," he whispered. I was terrified, I admitted. Same thing sometimes. I turned back to the pack one last time. "Tell the other packs what happened here tonight. Tell them the Eclipse child lived. Tell them she's not interested in destruction or revenge. But tell them this too, I will protect those who can't protect themselves. I will stand against any pack that tries to kill pups for being different. And I will not bow to fear ever again." I walked away from my birth pack with Dax's hand in mine. Behind us, my mother called out, "I love you, Kiera. I always have." Even when I was too afraid to show it. I stopped. Didn't turn around. "I know," I said. "But love without courage is just words. Be braver with your next children than you were with me." Then Dax and I disappeared into the forest, leaving Shadow Pine Pack behind. We had a sanctuary to build. A future to create. A life to live. Together. Epilogue. The Daywalker's Legacy. Age 25. 8 years later, I stand at the border of Sanctuary Grove and watch the sun rise. The name was Nana's idea. She said any place I created should have sanctuary in the name because that's what I gave people. Safety. Acceptance. Home. She's inside the main house right now, probably making breakfast for the 23 wolves currently living on our land. Wolves who'd been rejected by their birth packs for being different. A wolf born without a tail. Twin pups born during a lunar eclipse. A male who could only shift halfway. A female whose wolf was pure white and considered a bad omen. A pup born mute who communicated through sign language. All of them found their way here. All of them found acceptance. Dax built most of the structures himself with help from some of the older residents. We have a main house, several cabins, a communal dining hall, and a training ground where I teach young wolves to control their shifts. We're not a pack. Not exactly. We're something new. Something in between. I'm 25 now. Dax is 33. We've been mated for 5 years, bonded in a ceremony that combines sun and moon magic, witnessed by everyone we'd built this family with. "Mama." I turned to see them running toward me. My twins. 3 years old and absolutely fearless. Soren, my son, who shifts only at night. His wolf is silver and gray, all moon magic. Alara, my daughter, who shifts only during the day. Her wolf is golden like mine, all sun magic. Perfect balance. Perfect halves of a whole. They crash into me, All giggles and sticky hands from whatever Nana let them eat before breakfast. Papa says to come eat, Soren announces. And Nana made pancakes, Alara adds. The good ones with berries. Then we'd better not keep them waiting. I scoop them both up, one on each hip, and carry them back toward the house. They're getting too big for this, but I'm not ready to stop yet. Dax meets me at the door, takes Alara so I'm not trying to carry both. He kisses me softly. Good morning, sunshine, he murmurs. Good morning, my love. We head inside together. The dining hall is chaos. Good chaos. Wolves of all ages eating and talking and laughing. This is what I've built. Not a pack ruled by fear and tradition. A family built on acceptance and choice. My parents visit sometimes. It's still awkward. Still painful in places. But we're learning. My mother adores her grandchildren. My father is trying to be better, to listen instead of command. My siblings visit more often. Lara is 18 now, training to be a healer. Finn and Connor are 16 and completely fascinated by their niece and nephew. We're building something. Not forgiveness exactly, but understanding. A new relationship built on honesty instead of guilt. After breakfast, I walk to the training ground with a group of young wolves. Today I'm teaching a 12-year-old girl named Maya who shifts into a wolf so small everyone said she was useless. You're not useless, I tell her. You're fast. Agile. You can get places bigger wolves can't. Your size is a gift if you learn to use it. I spend 2 hours working with her, showing her how to embrace what makes her different instead of fighting it. When we're done, she shifts back to human with tears in her eyes. Thank you, she whispers, for making me feel like I matter. You do matter, I say firmly. Never let anyone tell you otherwise. That afternoon, I shift into my dual form. The one where sun and moon magic swirl together, creating something impossible and beautiful. I run through the forest, feeling both powers coursing through me. The warmth of the sun, the pull of the moon. Both mine, both part of me. I am the eclipse child who survived, who thrived, who learned that being born under a curse could become a blessing if you refused to be broken by it. When I return to the sanctuary at sunset, Dax is waiting. Any regrets? He asks, wrapping his arms around me. I think about my life. The pain of abandonment. The years of feeling broken. The loneliness. The fear. And I think about what came after. The love. The family. The purpose. The twins sleeping soundly in their beds. The wolves who found safety here. The life I've built from the ashes of rejection. Only one, I say. I regret all the years I spent thinking I was broken instead of rare. He kisses my temple. You were always rare. The world just needed time to catch up. As night falls and the moon rises, I feel its pull. Accept it. Let it mix with the sun magic that's always burning in my core. I am Kiera. I am the Daywalker who became both day and night. I am the eclipse child who turned prophecy into promise. I am the bridge between two worlds, the proof that opposites can unite instead of destroy. And my story isn't about the pack that rejected me. It's about the family I chose. The male who loved me when loving me meant sacrifice. The grandmother who took in a strange baby and never asked questions. The wolves who found their way to my sanctuary because they needed someone to tell them that different isn't wrong. It's different. They tried to kill me the moment I was born because the sun went dark. They didn't know that darkness was temporary. That light always returns. That eclipses don't destroy, they reveal. They reveal that sun and moon can share the same sky. That strength comes in unexpected forms. That the things we fear most often become the things that save us. I was born in darkness. I learned to make my own light. And now I shine for everyone who's ever felt too different, too broken, too strange to belong. I shine for the lost ones. The rejected ones. The ones who think they're cursed when they're actually blessed. I am the eclipse child. And my light doesn't come from the sun or the moon. It comes from both. From balance. From choosing unity over division. From learning that the prophecy was never about destruction. It was about transformation. About becoming something new. Something the world had forgotten was possible. I am both day and night. Sun and moon. Broken and whole. And I wouldn't change a single moment of the journey that brought me here. Not the pain. Not the fear. Not the lonely years of thinking I was defective. Because all of it led me to this. Standing in the twilight between day and night, holding the hand of the man who never stopped believing in me, surrounded by the family I built from nothing, raising children who will never have to choose between sun and moon because they'll know they can be both. The eclipse child lived. She thrived. She became the light in the darkness. And her story isn't ending. It's just beginning. The end. Sometimes the things that make us different are the things that make us extraordinary. We just need someone to help us see it. Kiera, the Daywalker.